Hey guys, we're back for another Star Wars SH Figuarts review. So this time we're going to the Solo movie, and we're going to take a look at my first Solo Figuarts because I didn't get the Chewbacca. I just didn't feel like getting a second Chewie in the Figuarts line. So we're going to take a look at the Mimban Stormtrooper. This is one that I've been looking forward to. There is a Black Series counterpart to it that is still not out here in the US, so we're still waiting on that guy. But we've got a standard Figuarts box, so it's no exclusive, so there's no covered artwork on this guy. We've got that clear window. We do have the Solo, a Star Wars Story logo in the top right-hand corner of this box, and then the back has some product shots and just general legalese, but in Japanese kanji. So let's pull this guy out and take a look. Alright guys, so here is our Mimban Stormtrooper out of the package, and if you've seen Solo, you kind of know that these are very minor players in the overall story of the movie. They're just sort of background fodder for the battle, the war on Mimban. So we've got an example of that trooper here, and I gotta say right off the bat, I'm pretty taken aback by how cool this figure is. I mean, I know it's a Stormtrooper and it's a slightly different Stormtrooper, but it's really doing it for me. The look, the feel, the cape, everything about this cape really does it for me. So we're going to go through the whole shebang, articulation, paint, and sculpt, and see what he's got. So as far as articulation goes, this guy is pretty standard. You know, we've got a number of troopers in the Figuarts line, and this guy, for the most part, is, as far as I can tell, a lot of reuse from the Rogue One release of the Stormtrooper, where they kind of refreshed the design a little bit and re-released the Stormtrooper. So for the most part, it's similar in that regard. Of course, there are a few cosmetic changes here and there, but in the articulation department, he's very similar. The only real difference is that the cape is going to limit his articulation to some degree. The head, in general, he does hit it a little bit when you try to go upwards, when you try to tilt back. There is a kind of a recessed area at the shoulder to allow some movement, but it still hits it a little. Head can look down. He can, of course, swivel. He is going to kind of rub against that cape there, but it's not too big of a deal. Arms can go out. They go all the way around. Biceps swivel. You do have the hinged shoulder plates as well, which is pretty normal. Figuarts, double-jointed elbows. We have got hinged and swivel at the wrist. We've got upper torso articulation. We have got waist rotation as well, so you can move him around there. We've got legs that go all the way out, so if you want to have him doing the splits, by all means. Kick forward, kick back, you can rotate in there, and then of course there is a drop down as well. We've got double jointed knees, you can go really far back. There is never a boot cut or anything there. We've got rotation, hinge, and rocker at the ankle, as well as our trusty toe articulation. So in terms of articulation, he is, you know, if you're used to Stormtrooper, or most troopers, I believe, articulation with Figuarts, you kind of know what to expect. The cape does get in the way just a little bit, but not to any degree that it really bothers me. For me, with this figure, the big area, the big point of interest is sculpt and paint. So the big thing is, obviously, look at him. He's covered in dirt, in mud, in just grit and grime. And I for some reason, really dig it. I think he looks fantastic. I think there is an exceptional amount of paint detail on this figure. You can see there is a lot of overspray all over the figure to make him look like he is just worn and, you know, battle hardened, and he has been through the ringer in a number of battles. I think it's just an interesting take to actually see a very battle-worn Stormtrooper. We don't see that in any media, really, and they finally gave us a quick glimpse in the movie, and this, I think, is the best interpretation of that so far in any figure. I think the only thing we've got so far, well, that I have anyway, is the 3 3/4 inch figure, because I still don't have that Black Series. But I do think that this is a fantastic look. I mean, this is, for the most part, as best I can tell, a lot of reuse, like I mentioned, from the Rogue One Stormtrooper Figuarts release. You can tell because of certain little subtle details. There are sculpted details in the kind of paneling on the abdomen here, and then this knee pad is different between the first release and the Rogue One Stormtrooper. So a lot of that's very similar, and that's okay. I mean, it's the same era, so I'm not upset about that. I think it very much works. It all looks great. The helmet is, of course, different, and I believe, you know, someone correct me if I'm wrong. This is conjecture from what I've seen elsewhere, is that this guy is, you know, kind of based upon a trench warfare design for a stormtrooper. That's why he has this extra bit of armor plating around the head. So for the most part, you're looking at a standard stormtrooper helmet, but he does have extra plating up on the forehead, so it juts out. It actually is another lip almost on the top of that head sculpt. It makes him look a little meaner, and I actually like that. I think it looks really cool. It's definitely given off a vibe that you wouldn't want to mess with this guy. I mean, I know that he's not a singular stormtrooper, but this guy looks like he could be, you know, kind of a man apart on your shelf, unless you're an army builder type. I kind of wish I was when it came to Figuarts now. Of course, one of the bigger differences for this figure is that he does have the cape, and it's a sculpted piece that doesn't really move. It sits in a very interesting way, and I think it works really well. It has two loops that go around the arms, and it just sort of sits over. So you can see this kind of black piece of plastic right here that just allows it to sit on the shoulders. It's got one on each side, and then it drapes over the back. It's got sculpted wrinkles in it. The hood is sculpted down, and then it has that same kind of overspray on it. So he's been wearing this thing for a while in battle, and you can see more of that grit and grime on the back of the helmet. Not so much on the top, which I think works really well. It shouldn't be as dirty as some of the rest of the pieces. So overall, in terms of sculpt, look, feel, paint, everything, I am 100% on board. I wasn't sure I really cared about the way this figure looked until I got him out of the box. He just looks well done, and he looks interesting, and he's different, and he's a white stormtrooper that's now gray, so he's going to stand out amongst your other figures, and I am all for that. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy is pretty standard for Figuarts, nothing missing. It's kind of exactly what you'd expect to get with a Stormtrooper. So we've got the two fist hands that you can see on him there. We have got a set of trigger finger hands for either side, so we've got left and right, and then we have got the gripping style hands for the butt of the gun for either side as well. So that's standard stuff there, and he comes with two guns. We've got the standard Stormtrooper rifle, blaster rifle, and then we've got the more heavy-duty rifle as well. This guy is just flat black plastic. This guy is slightly glossier, but I don't really think it is. I think it's more of a light trick playing on me right now. And then a little glob of silver, because why not break that plastic up? So he has kind of the standard fare. I am glad he has two options for guns. It's something a little different, just to give him maybe something a little more unique when there's already a sea of these blasters in my case. So all things said and done, I think we've got a winner on our hands here, folks. I have long been a supporter of troopers in the Figuarts line. I think they routinely nail them, and this is no exception. It's a cool design. It's a good reuse of parts from the better of the two Stormtrooper sculpts. We've got some interesting changes with the Stormtrooper helmet. We've got that cool cape. We've got an excellent paint application overspray. And in general, I just dig the design. I think there's something interesting about the dirtiness and the battle-hardened, I know I keep saying that, look of this trooper. And he's overall going to make a bit of a change up on my display. He's going to stand out. He's going to look unique amongst all of these other very clean Stormtroopers. So ultimately, that's kind of what draws me in, and what has really hooked me on this figure is that next to those clean Stormtroopers, he really does look quite different. And I'm always looking for something different on my shelves. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars SH Figuarts Mimban Stormtrooper from Bandai Tamashii Nations. Let me know what you think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, guys.